So as you're increasing the interest with parents being different in the way that you reach parents, talk to parents, assist them. You mentioned that finances was a major challenge.
It was because there was a need for the service. What we were offering filled a gap that the government wasn't providing. And the private sector, in terms of psychologists and counselors, were doing it, but at a price that the parents that came to us couldn't afford. So in all the 25 years of the organization, most of the time we have charged for services way below market rates. And in fact, if somebody comes and they need the service, we'll give it to them for free. At one point we bartered, if you have some seasoning, give us the seasoning, whatever. Because we recognized that people needed to give something in order to fully appreciate the getting of it. So the important thing was that the child, who was the target really, was that the child got the support they need and that the parents were helped.
And you were encouraging parents to invest in their own
development, because one of the key things that we had to deal with in terms of shifting the mentality was for parents to recognize that it was okay to seek help. Not just for the psychological part, but as a parent, you don't know everything, you can't know everything. And it's somewhat shameful. It was more shameful for a parent to say, I'm not doing well as a parent. So we had to break through that kind of barrier. But finances have continually been a problem because what it takes to run the organization respectfully of the people who work in the organization, we can't charge enough to cover all those expenses.
So what were some creative ways that you all used to manage those challenges?
Well, we've used volunteers. We've had people who in the early days, many times someone would come and take counseling, benefit from it, and then want to give back. So they would join the team as a volunteer. Fundraising. We looked overseas for funding from foundations because in the early days there was not much in terms of funding coming from government. So we had to look elsewhere.
We also looked at sponsorship. So Barbara talked about encouraging parents to ask for support. Sometimes parents came and they needed a service and they needed to pay for it, and we'd ask them to brainstorm who do they know, family members, other people who may be willing to provide some financial support. And parents would tell you about the family who would send a barrel of clothes or sneakers, and we'd say, how about if you ask them if they can send the dollar value of that instead to help pay for a service the child needs. So it may be a child with a developmental delay who needs speech therapy, or a child who needs an assessment, or some other service, a hearing test, the cost of a hearing aid. So we really began to help parents understand how to ask for help, and not just to receive help that people give. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because when parents talked about the barrel of clothes coming and they were grateful for it, but they said they often had more than they needed, but other things that they needed they didn't have. So we began to teach them how they can work with their family members to get the true support they need so that the child would benefit best and they can do other things that the child may need. So we tried to help to create different kind of relationships in families, and I am telling you that even today I am seeing the benefit of that. There are clients who have received free services from us, both in my private practice and in ParentingTT, who have sponsored clients who needed to pay for services because they have benefited from that kind of support. So they would tell other people well, you know this organization, they do so and so and so, and they taught me how to do this. So how about if I help you with that?
So, charging small fees
Yes.
for services,
Yeah.
Yes.
looking abroad
Yes.
for funders, encouraging sponsorship through family
Family
members.
members.
And I think there was
reprioritizing.
times too, I mean, I don't know if Marina, they remember that we would use our own friends as well to give contributions into
Yes.
the organization
Yes.
to help build our financial kitty, you know.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
We created a membership system whereby people who subscribe to the newsletter would pay for it, and some people paid for the cost of the newsletter and some additional costs.
Yes.
But as the funding became a bigger issue, we recognized that we had to look at this as a business.
Yes.
We had to really think about it differently. And so, along with some of the training that we got from funders like Canadian High Commission and J.B. Fernandez Memorial Trust, they trained us that the best way to try and get some kind of balance was to break up the way that we sought funding. So looked at for government, private, foundations, and also generate some income ourselves. So we worked towards creating that kind of balance. And over the years, we did pretty good at it because we've got to a point now where we partner with government to provide some services to their agencies. Also, we were able to get a small subvention from government. Foundations we look to for funding for specific projects. And of course, the organization seeks to generate funds from various fundraising activities as well as the services that people walk in for.
So, ParentingTT is financially set now.
Nope.
No, we would like to be set some
It never is because
Go ahead.
because it's very unfortunate that it's a social issue.
Yes.
And the social issues never seem to get the attention or the allocation of funds that are really required to help people develop and solve their problems.